Jennie has now surpassed 3.7 billion streams on Spotify, the first female K-pop soloist to do so. Born Again by Lisa surpasses Left and Right by Jungkook to become the seventh longest charting song on UK Spotify by a K-pop soloist. Jisoo has received the gold certificate by Hanteo for selling 520,000 copies with Amortage in the first week of release. 100 days ago today, Rosé released her triumphal debut album Rosie. The Record Maker album has already sold 4.5 million units around the world, being the fastest-selling female K-pop act album in history and best-selling female K-pop soloist project. It also became the fastest one to sell 500K units in the US, a first ever among K-pop female soloists, breaking the record for fastest female K-pop act album to reach 2 billion streams on Spotify. First project among K-pop female soloists. Rosie has already amassed 6.5 billion streams around the world, the fastest Asian female act album to achieve this. Ruby by Jennie surpasses 300,000 digital copies sold in China, the first female album to do so this year. Alter Ego by global rap star Lisa was the world's fifth best-selling album of the past week, scoring the third highest debut on the United World Chart, landing at 5. It's the best-selling album of the past week in the US, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard Top Album Sales chart and scored the third biggest on-demand streaming week debut by a K-pop soloist in Billboard 200 chart history. Rosé's Rosie has reached the 14th biggest week on Spotify in K-pop history, surpassing Jungkook's Golden. 3 AM has surpassed 40 million streams on Spotify. Rosie is the fifth track on the album to reach this milestone. Earthquake by Jisoo in its third week on Billboard and IFPI official charts. Blackpink's tally has now surpassed 300 million streams on Spotify. It's their 18th song to do so. Blackpink members hold the record for the top 2 highest monthly listeners peak by a K-pop act in Spotify history. Rosé with 71.1 million listeners on number 1. Jennie with 46.1 million on number 2. Jennie's Ruby debuted at number 3 on this week's Belgium Albums chart. It becomes the highest charting album by a K-pop soloist in history. She becomes the second female K-pop soloist to reach the top 10. Rosé and Bruno Mars APT becomes the 7th most streamed song by a K-pop act in Spotify history, surpassing BTS Butter. APT was the number 1 most streamed song in the UK this week, surpassing Lola Young's Messy. It has now spent 4 weeks atop the official streaming chart. Highest charting albums by K-pop soloist on the official German albums chart. Right Place, Wrong Person by RM on number 9. Rosé's Rosie on number 8. Face by Jimin on number 7. Muse by Jimin. Golden by Jungkook. Ruby by Jennie on number 6. Layover by BTS on number 4. D-Day by Suga on number 3. Alter Ego by Lisa on number 2. All Tokyo hoodies, t-shirts, crop top of Lights Love Action in Japan for online pre-orders are sold out. Earthquake by Jisoo has now surpassed 40 million streams on Spotify in 27 days. It is the most streamed solo song by a K-pop artist released in 2025. Jisoo Earthquake is currently charting number 1 on Germany, Malaysia, Indonesia, Peru, and Siku iTunes. Ruby by Jennie debuts at number 5 on this week's Netherlands Albums chart, becoming the highest charting album by an Asian soloist in history, surpassing Golden. Jennie has now surpassed 600 million streams on Spotify in 2025. Ruby by Jennie joins Rosie by Rosé as the only female solo K-pop album to sell over 300,000 digital copies in China history. Lisa ties the record for the most entries by an Asian-born soloist and K-pop soloist on the AFP Singles Chart in Portugal. She also extends her record as the Southeast Asian-born act with the most entries on the said chart. Alter Ego by Lisa is the first album by an Asian-born soloist, K-pop soloist, and Southeast Asian-born act to chart in the top 10 and also have 4 singles chart entries on the AFP charts in Portugal. Ruby album continues to stay on Spotify Global Chart with 4 songs on its 8th day.